Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gail Morgan welcoming you to the Libertarian Counterpoint's Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. You've heard their point, now listen to the counterpoint.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming at you on February 17th, 2021. Always interesting times, especially with Biden in office. But before we get to any of the news of the day, let's introduce our panel to you. Up in our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. And in our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett, who is a pilot in the state of California.
By the way, Jason, I like your haircut. Is that a legal haircut or is that a black market haircut?
It's a black market haircut because the barber was unlicensed.
Oh my God! Yes.
Oh, so you must have gone the same place as Nancy Pelosi went to get her hair done. Did you do that?
Actually, no. Well, well, it's funny. My son, where we've been at home for a while, and so I've been trying to incentivize him, give him, jobs to do and other things like that. And so we ordered a razor and some other stuff, and this is his third try at cutting hair, so he's actually getting better.
Okay,
that's not bad.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That's good.
Incentives always work.
Yeah, this is just between us because he's unlicensed. I don't want Gavin coming and arresting my kid.
Oh, poor boy. Oh my God.
Not to
Sorry
mention, I don't know how old your son is, but it's probably in violation of child labor laws.
Yeah, that too.
Probably so. Damn, Jason, what's wrong with you? Damn, what's wrong with you?
Well, I see my panel's giving me a haircut today. So let's jump into the news of the day. One of the crazy
Jason, could I interrupt for 1 second, please? For 1 second, please. On a serious note, I don't know how you guys feel about Rush Limbaugh, but he's been an intellectual favorite of mine, someone I followed over the years, but he died today, and
yes.
I just wanted to say, may he rest in peace. It saddens some of us. I was once just to let you know, I was once in a commercial for the Rush Limbaugh show, quite frankly, many years ago in the early 1990s. It was unpaid, but I was in a commercial. But anyway, I just want to let Rush rest in peace. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Leon. I was listening to Rush since when he was in Sacramento, when he was unknown, and then he got the job in New York,
right?
And became famous after that. And
right.
I listened to him for years, almost daily, and sometimes daily. And I got a little off from his message when I became more sensitive to the wars we were constantly getting in, but he's always entertaining nonetheless. And that's where I was introduced to Walter Williams and Walter's friend
Thomas Sowell.
Thomas Sowell, yes, sorry.
Yes.
And just all the other there was other libertarians that he brought on the show, including Peter Schiff, I believe he brought in.
Yes.
And so, through Rush Limbaugh, I was introduced to a lot of libertarian thought early on. And so, it's tragic that he died because he's just 1 year older than I am. Not even a year, probably. We're very close in age. So sad to hear this. Certainly went too soon.
Yeah, well, he's been battling cancer, I think, for a while, and I think
he was for the last year or so. Actually, he was first diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and it's been a tough road for him since that time. I believe it was about a year ago or something. He was diagnosed, and it's been a struggle ever since.
Yeah.
So
And it is interesting. He does have a tie to Sacramento. I mean, that is sort of where he made his name here in Sacramento before he moved on to the national EIB network or whatever it was
Yes.
he was doing his show from. But it's funny too, because you mentioned Walter Williams, and it's I listened to his show quite a bit when I was younger, but I kind of drifted away from it later on. But as I sort of got a little more libertarian, but it's funny. Walter Williams had been a frequent guest host on his show, and I didn't know who Walter Williams was at the time. And later on, I discovered that he had been on Free to Choose with Milton Friedman, and then I was just like, wow, Walter Williams is a host on Rush Limbaugh's show. Yeah. That's amazing. Yes. But Walter Williams also passed away this last year, and we also lost George Schultz just about a week ago or so too.
Yes,
so,
that's right. Yes,
a lot of interesting people have been passing recently.
And while Rush himself was not Rush was more of a conservative than a libertarian, but I think his fight for smaller government and for individual freedom, I think there's good overlap with libertarian philosophy, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So he'll be surely missed. He'll be surely missed.
I know one other thing. I haven't heard Ben Shapiro's show today, but he tends to give Rush Limbaugh some credit for his, development as well. I think Ben Shapiro's a little more on the libertarian side than Rush, but he's somewhere in between libertarians and conservatives. So
true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's to honor him. Let's jump into a subject that's near and dear to conservative hearts, the Second Amendment. So that's a topic that I wanted to get into today, because we've been hearing a lot of noise from the Biden administration about potential restrictions on Second Amendment rights going forward. And that's actually sparked some conversation from the right about sanctuary cities related to the Second Amendment. So essentially the way the left had their sanctuary cities, places like San Francisco and such, where local law enforcement would not prosecute or hold people for immigration violations. I guess now there's some talk about cities on the right, if Biden gets his way on some of these things, potentially having sanctuary cities related to gun laws. So I know, Tim, this is definitely a subject that's near and dear to you. So I'll have you jump in first on this one.
You mean because I'm an amosexual?
I
love that.
How in God's name do you get there from the statements Jason just made? How?
I'm just agreeing with Jason. And the thing about being an amosexual is, hey, it came from birth, so give me a break. All right. I was just born this way. Okay. So you liberals, I'm just born to like guns, and it came from my family. And so
it's in your genes. It's in your genes.
It's in my genes. It's in my genetic makeup. Yes.
So Tim, you blasted your way out of the birth canal.
Something like that. Although I don't remember, but anyway, my parents fed me a lot of pheasant and quail growing up, so there's that, So so he's got a bunch of proposals. I don't think much of it will pass, if any. It could be another one of those things that just drives gun sales up through the roof.
Yes,
and ammunition is just, it's the demand is so high right now. It's crazy. Never seen anything quite like it. But assuming that they're trying to head it off at the pass. They're just saying, okay, we're going to do what you liberals did with the whole sanctuary city thing, or sanctuary state. Okay. There's that. So I just love that, just from the standpoint that it's just throwing it right back. A tactic pioneered by the left, and now the right is going to pick up that banner and utilize it against the left and their preoccupation and myopic focus on firearm related deaths and issues, so on and so forth. so there's that. Then because they're talking about confiscation and that kind of thing, which I really don't think it's going to pass for numerous reasons. But let's just say that it does. Okay, well, where's the history behind that? Well, once again, one easy, one low-hanging fruit in history is prohibition. So there was the only way that the feds could enforce it is with cooperation from the states, and that's just the way it is with most of these federal laws. Is they require cooperation from the state and the local governments. So if you don't have that, just like with prohibition, that's what spearheaded the complete reversal of that anti-alcohol sales law, whatever the proposition was, and whatever the proposition was, it Prop 13, I think, or not, the 13th Amendment, or was it the 13th that brought it back? I can't remember, but there was a liquor store called the 13th Amendment or the 12th Amendment or whatever it was. What a great name for a liquor store, right? So, but what spearheaded that whole thing was the lack of cooperation in enforcing these federal prohibitions against alcohol by the states, and that's again, that's within their what's it called? Their prerogative. It's part of their makeup is to also follow the Constitution, and so if they feel that it's unconstitutional, I know people that don't understand the Constitution and don't understand the whole states' rights issue is they think it's up to the judiciary to figure out if something's constitutional or not. No, it's not. It is up to the judiciary. It's up to the federal government. It's up to the state and local governments to enforce what they feel is the constitutionality of a law or the lack thereof. Okay, and so everybody's and their default, according to the Constitution, their default fallback position has to be on the side of freedom constitutionally. Okay, well, it's not freedom to take firearms and which are personal possessions away from people forcefully with the point of a gun. The good guys' guns, they say, I guess, because the police are going to be the ones. The police are going to be the ones enforcing these idiotic laws if they ever come to pass, which I don't think they will. But if they do, police have already declared that they're not going to enforce them. Whether that would happen too, if push came to shove, who knows? But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to watch it unfold. What do you think, Leon?
Honestly, it saddens me that in a country founded on liberty, in a country where we have a Second Amendment that clearly states that we have the right to bear arms, that we are now at a point where we have to find sanctuary states and cities to protect the Second Amendment. I do not know, I do not understand why the Second Amendment is treated any differently from the First Amendment. The First Amendment gives us our right of free speech. Well, I guess that is under attack right now. So I guess similarly, the Second Amendment is under attack also.
Yeah.
So, but it is sad. It is really sad to me that we are going down this path where we think that we have to find this boogeyman called the NRA. And if we could defeat the boogeyman somehow or the other, we're going to find that utopia where gun violence will be gone and we all be fine and everything will be wonderful in this utopia that the left is trying to create for us. It just saddens me that this is the path we are going along. This woman in that video that you sent out, Jason, said that how if these sanctuary cities and states spring up, it's not gonna take into consideration all of the people who are affected by gun violence. Well, okay. Well, look at the sanctuary cities that you guys have been creating all of these years. and all the people who are committing crimes, just walking across the border, and some of them continue to commit crimes while they're here, in our country illegally. Don't you consider that impact also? Or do you consider the impact upon wages of people just walking across the border and getting jobs here, depressing wages for living, breathing Americans? Do you consider that impact too? This is the hypocrisy of the left. This is the hypocrisy of the left, and it's plaguing us. It's plaguing us both in terms of their hypocrisy, and it's plaguing us in the sense of how they are trying to destroy our blessed Constitution.
Well, it's funny too, because you look at the Constitution, and you were talking about the First Amendment sort of being eroded right now with all kinds of restrictions on speech based upon what they think you're thinking when you're speaking, essentially.
Exactly.
Yes. But it's funny because that Second Amendment really is almost the insurance on the First Amendment.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
If you don't have that Second Amendment, all you can do is kind of shake your fist at the government if they take away your First Amendment. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, Jay is all the amendments, which basically outline some, not all, of the rights that we possess based on our humanity, that we're human beings, that we have these rights that would come with our the birth rights. And apparently the left is I think you have it coming up. It's queued up there, where they're going after the 14th Amendment as part of our list of things to discuss. So yeah, Leon, we're talking the second now and the first. Leon brought up, and so Jason, what would be the 14th Amendment that we're about to discuss? The equal protection under the law clause.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well. I mean, we may joke about it, but that equal protection thing is also under serious attack. Okay.
Yeah.
It's under serious attack, where they
that's
think.
My point.
So yeah, I know that's the point you're making, Tim.
Yeah.
But the whole point, these people want to tell us what lawlessness we should accept and what we should not. Or the riots over the summer. The riots over the summer. That was good and wonderful. But the riots on Capitol Hill on January 6th, that was awful. Mm-hmm. So they want to tell us what lawlessness we should accept.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the lawlessness issue is concerned, another issue that's sort of related to this whole Second Amendment thing. I mean, it is odd that in a lot of the cities where they have the most gun restrictions, places like Chicago and such, they also tend to have a lot of gun violence there. And speaking of which, there's a lot of these cities that have been pushing defund the police are now in a situation where they're having to second guess some of that, because there has been a lot of shootings in a lot of these places lately. And one of them is Minneapolis. That was one of the ones that was sort of spearheading some of this defund the police. And they have recently, I guess, decided that they have to fund the police more. I guess there's probably a little bit of controversy within their city council or whatever. But I mean, I think they recently approved an extra $6.4 million for the police. So, you guys have any thoughts on the whole defund the police?
Well, go ahead, Leon. I talked enough.
No, it's not matter talking enough. That doesn't bother me, Tim. Honestly, it really does not. But you know what is amazing about this? So now that they came up with their little utopian idea, let's defund the police. And the predictable result came out. Crime just went through the roof. In Minneapolis and in other places where this defund the police nonsense was going on strong. And they are shocked. Yeah. They are shocked by the violence that resulted. If you don't have police officers, people with guns walking around protecting us, keeping law and order, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the criminals are stupid? They may be criminals, but they are not. And these people now, they want to backtrack and they want to fix this and they want to fix that. After they, of course, this disaster that we are now facing in many cities, not only in Minneapolis, in many cities. New York City, I think, took $1 billion or something, or some number like that out of their budget, out of the police budget. And look at what's going on in New York City. Crime is rising. We are seeing rises in crime here that we haven't seen in decades. I think in this particular article, they said 26 years that we haven't seen this level of crime. And these people who want to take us to their utopia still would not sit down and reflect upon the damn nonsense they've been giving us here for the last 10 years. God help us.
Well, if they are going to defund the police, how are they going to collect all those guns? Unless they're expecting people to just, the law-abiding people to just hand them over, I guess.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, there's another aspect to this whole crazy defund the police, and maybe we'll just touch into it, and that's that 14th Amendment thing that you were just talking about, Tim, and that's treating people differently under the law. In Seattle, they were big proponents as well of defund the police, and they are talking about trying to reorganize their union agreements and stuff so that they can literally just go and fire white officers that have seniority. Because recently, the new cops that they have, have hired, they've managed to get the right mix of diversity, as far as the racial aspects that they're looking for. But then those will be the first out under the union contracts as well. So they literally want to just go and say, hey, you're white, you're older, we're just going to fire you. And that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. But you guys have any quick thoughts on that?
My only point was that it's in violation of 14th Amendment's
Yes.
equal protection clause, and is therefore, because we're talking a whole government thing here. Even if it wasn't, I mean, it was a private entity that, there's plenty of laws on the books about non-racial bias in hiring and firing. So that's a racial bias, 100%. 100%. You just can't make this stuff up anymore.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. Go ahead, Leon.
Could you imagine that some distinguished Republican or some well-known Republican said, let's solve the problem in our cities by firing all the black police officers? Could you imagine what would happen if that was said? But here is have this woman, she could say this and without consequences. This is madness. This is insanity on steroids.
Well,
but I see Knuckleheads Noise Patrol. So
I was just going to say, speaking of madness, let's jump right into our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. It's about that time in our show where we try and look for something kind of outlandish or silly that somebody has said. And this time it's a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to pull up a picture of the quote. This time it comes from Ayanna Pressley, one of the squad, and on Capitol Hill. And so she is a congresswoman who, often has a lot of kind of, I think most of us would agree, bad ideas. but she was recently quoted on Twitter as saying Twitter, a place of just immense, I guess, wisdom, immense questionable wisdom. The wisdom you'd want to flush down the toilet in 20 seconds or something.
Indeed.
But she recently said poverty is not naturally occurring. It is a policy choice. And that's kind of an interesting question because, I mean, one, I think on the face of it, historically, it's clearly wrong in the sense that, poverty, you go back thousands of years in our history, and that's the natural state of humanity, living, coming out of caves and, wherever people were, existing primitively. And it's a struggle to get away from poverty. And I think markets have done a lot to help us do that. But, for her, this is all about a policy choice. And so you guys want to kind of dive into that one? This leaves a little bit of ambiguity here.
Well, I just wanted to, so you brought up the first thing I was going to say, because I agree and I disagree. So, where I disagree is like what you said, economic history shows that the default position is one of scarcity. We don't have what we want. We have unlimited wants and needs, but we have a scarcity of wealth in things that we have to buy and eat and consume and blah, blah, blah. So economically, poverty is the most naturally occurring thing I can think of. And on the flip side of it, it is a policy choice as well. I mean, how about the policy of the minimum wage? Representative Pressley What about that policy, you idiot? Now that has brought unemployment to countless numbers of people that are in their early stages of life, where they're trying to get from scarcity to wealth, and they're not even given a chance. Okay. Then what about the drug war, you idiot? You know, how much wealth has to be squandered trying to keep people from altering their consciousness. So you're right. It's a choice there, but you wouldn't stop that, would you idiot?
Well,
and how about wars? How about wars as a policy choice? Wars have sucked up enormous trillions of dollars of wealth and spread it around the world in the form of bullets and bombs, just willy-nilly. Did she ever vote against a war? I doubt it. Okay, Leon, take it away.
Oh, I just wanted to jump in real quick here. I think in fairness to her, she probably would not support the war on drugs. I'm just guessing. I don't know for sure, but most likely she's not a huge proponent of the war on drugs.
You might be surprised, but yeah. I have to check.
I don't know. I don't know, Jason.
Okay.
I am not sure. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Leon. I'm talking about, would she vote to legalize heroin and cocaine? Ever? I doubt it. Go ahead, Leon.
Okay. Now, her statement, poverty is not a naturally occurring. I am not sure that she is wrong on that statement, okay? And let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because I do not believe there's anybody who is born with something stamped on their forehead or in their genes that make them automatically poor. Poverty to me is caused by governments all the time, by government choices at all times. So for instance, let us look, say, for instance, the difference in outcomes between East Germany and West Germany. So West Germany took a more capitalistic route after World War II. East Germany, where the people are the same, you can't say anything that was different fundamentally about the people, but they took a socialist route out of World War II. But East Germany, when the wall came down, was in sheer poverty, and West Germany was one of the most successful nations in the world at the time. So in that sense, poverty is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. That government make choices that causes poverty. Here in the United States.
Well, Leon, sorry, but I think we're just about out of time. We're gonna have to.
Damn.
I agree with that too.
We've got a policy choice, and it's to meet the time.
And you're gonna exercise executive decision on my statements.
Impoverish our listeners by ending the show. However, I hope that you'll continue to discuss this one at home, because this is actually a pretty interesting quote. And please continue to join us for our next show, and you can catch us at knuckleheadsofliberty.com and at libertariancounterpoint.com. See you at the next one.
See you next time.
Bye.